For the past few years, the Middle East has been defined by foreign meddling, an intense struggle for influence, and an ambitious endeavor that could shape the region and the world forever. That's right, Saudi Arabia is building Coruscant. This is Envy, and this is Saudi Arabia, a kingdom located in the Middle East, home to almost 34 million people. Saudi Arabia is known for many things: its vast deserts, its almost limitless oil money, and its human rights violations, allegedly. However, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hopes to redefine Saudi Arabia's legacy, shifting the desert kingdom from a middling petrostate into a hub of advanced technology and sustainability that isn't bound to the world's need for liquid gold. To achieve this dream, the Saudi royal announced in 2016 a total overhaul of the nation in a massive infrastructure project titled Saudi Vision 2030. This ambitious government initiative has been the Crown Prince's pet project for the better part of a decade now, laser focused on redefining the country's society, culture, and economy. Saudi Vision 2030 included numerous incredibly ambitious projects, such as Qadiyah City, a massive city-sized sports and entertainment complex just outside the capital city of Riyadh, which is expected to generate 325,000 jobs and prepare the country ahead of the 2034 World Cup. Additionally, in order to support the country's Muslim faith, the project also scheduled the revitalization of countless historical mosques, including the Masjid al-Haram, also known as the Grand Mosque, because, well, look at it. The kingdom also brought forth some of the most progressive feminist legislation ever, such as the right to drive. However, among these other daring initiatives was a forward-thinking, perhaps a little too forward-thinking, infrastructure megaproject, and the reason you're probably here, called The Line. The Line was actually one piece in a larger Saudi megaproject called NEOM, which aimed to transform this particular corner of Saudi Arabia into a global center of advanced technology and tourism, and most importantly to compete with my awesome City Skylines playthroughs. NEOM was originally announced in 2017, but the line wasn't announced until 2021, with construction not starting until 2022. The project would start from the Red Sea, reaching inland towards the city of Tabuk, a medium-sized city that I always thought would really benefit from a giant glass brick. And giant is certainly the word for it, because the line was expected to reach 500 meters into the sky, and boast a final length of an insane 170 kilometers, equivalent to the distance between London and Birmingham, New York and Philadelphia, or Sydney and, well, nowhere important. With dimensions like this, the megacity was expected to hold a population of roughly 9 million people, more than the entirety of New York City, or almost a quarter of Saudi Arabia's present-day population. Conceptually, the line was planned to consist of two parallel buildings, with open space in the middle for some greenery and some extra time to bask in that sweet, sweet, scorching Arabian sun. Life inside the line was to be car-free and fully renewably powered, with all your essential goods and services located within 5 minutes. If this isn't sci-fi enough for you already, the city was to be constantly supervised by artificial intelligence, which would be working around the clock to find ways to improve the city. See, that Coruscant joke I made at the start of the video doesn't seem so stupid now, does it? Unfortunately for Saudi Arabia, by 2024, progress began to get a little shaky, as foreign investors got cold feet, with Torbjorn Soldvedt stating that foreign investors were not bought into the Crown Prince's vision. This sentiment was worsened by the fluctuating global oil prices of the time, but thankfully that never happened again. But the thing is, in April of that exact same year, the Minister of Economy and Planning assured everyone that everything was perfectly fine, operating as normal, and there was nothing to worry about, and that the project would go ahead as is. On September 18th of 2025, Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Investment Fund suspended construction of the line and all other NEOM projects until further notice. But what actually went so wrong to force Saudi Arabia's sci-fi vision to come tumbling down? Well, it turns out pretty much everything. For starters, when the line was announced in 2021, it was estimated that the final costs would come in at about 100 to 200 billion USD. While this is of course a substantial number, even when compared to the nation's trillion-dollar GDP, it's pretty par for the course as far as mega projects go. However, the very next year, estimates were looking substantially harsher, with a total cost of up to $1 trillion, with just the first 15-year phase expected to cost around 320 billion USD. Additionally, despite being announced as part of Saudi Vision 2030, the actual end date for this project was later expanded to quote-unquote 100 years or whatever, according to Chief Development Officer Dennis Hickey. Whatever guys, it's just like 100 years or whatever, just no stress about it, don't even worry, it's chill, it's fine, it's all good. 100 years. Obviously, this kind of timeline is less than appealing for investors, who would probably rather a return on their investment sooner rather than 100 years or whatever. However, something that goes beyond unappealing to appalling to any sane person is the fact that the line has been the source of immense suffering for tens of thousands of workers. Project Saudi 2030 has reportedly resulted in at least 21,000 deaths across less than a 10-year span. This is on top of atrociously long and grueling workdays in the scorching Arabian desert, as well as wage theft and countless other violations of basic human rights, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about the trillions of dollars they were willing to spend on putting a glass brick in the desert, but they can't pay their own workers properly. The vast majority of these workers were migrants from South and Southeast Asia, with little to no network abroad, and who were often misled in terms of the exact kind of work they're expected to be working. One such anecdote comes from a Nepalese migrant who reported to Human Rights Watch that he was forced to work punishing 16-hour shifts as a manual laborer working on the line. So with a record like that, you can't exactly feel bad for the Crown Prince and his failed future city. So ultimately, despite billions of dollars, half a decade of work, and a lot of crossed fingers, the line simply crossed the line. It was expensive to a point that the oil-rich and money-rich petrostate couldn't fund it anymore, and it was just too unrealistic to convince any sane investor to jump aboard. So it seems that, for the meantime at least, the Saudi desert will be scarred with a reminder that maybe some ideas are best left on the drawing board. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and maybe learned a little something along the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to comment down below on what you think. This has been Envy.